Ndewo, good morning to all of you. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful day we're having here in Atlanta, Georgia. I hope wherever you are that you are being blessed you're being showered with the blessings of the Most High. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to another episode of Ndumodu. Ndumodu, for those of you who are just joining me for the first time, it is Igbo Nigerian for words of wisdom that I am happy to share with you today with my guest to add to your collection of words of wisdom. Today is an important episode because we will discuss something that we do every day: communicate. Communication is so essential to our relationships with our world. Now, to be able to communicate, we must have clarity. And to have good understanding about where we are and where we are going, it takes clarity. What do we want each other to know about what we're doing? What are we saying? Where are we going to be? What are we doing? Sometimes we just say things and we don't know if people are understanding or hearing what we are saying. Sometimes we hear what people say. Sometimes we don't. What does it mean exactly when somebody says to you, "I'll see you at the top"? What exactly does it mean to see me at the top? As soon as we arrive there, what happens next? What are we expected to do then at the top? When somebody says to you, "I've got your back," or somebody says, "When you need me, just call on me," what exactly do they mean? The biggest challenge that we face as individuals in relationships is our inability to communicate properly in a way that is understandable to the people that we are communicating with. If we do not communicate well, in ways that bring effective relationships to order, we will be so far apart from each other. One person will be thinking one thing and at this end, and the other person is thinking something else at this end. So it is important that we have clarity, that we communicate properly. That is why it is so important to have this discussion today. And we're having it today with a person that I am bringing forward to help us navigate this whole concept called communications and the necessary etiquette to do so. It is none other than my special friend, Donna Paige. But before I bring her further, I would like to introduce you a little bit to give you a little bit more background about Donna. Donna is also known as the Etiquette Lady and voiceover queen. She is an inspirational and motivational coach, MC, narrator, and voice talent. She's the founder of Paige's Etiquette Seminars, L.L.C, a company specializing in public speaking and socializing training. With over 25 years in the etiquette and image fields, Donna is nationally recognized as an etiquette expert and public speaking coach, and she has traveled extensively training and speaking around the country. She's been a guest on several radio and television programs such as Good Day Atlanta, Atlanta Live, Business in the Black with Marjorie Coley, The Michael Baisden Show, and WSB's Perspectives hosted by Condase Pressley, to name only a few. Her business etiquette expertise has been featured in Black Enterprise magazine and From a Woman's Perspective magazine. She has presented at over 13 businesses and 20 organizations, presented at 8 churches and at over 43 schools. It is indeed my honor to present to you my very dear friend, Donna Paige Riley. Hello, Donna. How are you?
Hello, I am doing well. Thank you for such a warm introduction. But first, what I would like to say is thank you so much for the opportunity just for me to be with you. I certainly appreciate the invitation. So I did want to say that first.
Oh, thank you so very much. You are really, and when I met you, I was quite enchanted by your personality, your calming personality and your welcoming personality. And, so now that I had to interview you, I had to learn a whole lot more. And it's just fascinating to know what you have been doing out there in the community. So I just want to ask you this question, and I'm sure they've asked you many times. You're called the Etiquette Lady. Why do they call you that?
You know what? The Etiquette Lady actually came from a friend of mine years ago because she said, "Don't you ever turn off the manners." She said, "You are always using proper manners and asking other people to do so. And she
Uh-huh.
said, you're always quoting the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. And of course, that's the biblical golden rule, of course. And that's one of my favorite scriptures is Matthew 7:12. But she just kept saying, don't you ever turn it off and just be rude sometimes. I said, well, I really try not to do that because, it's with intent and being intentional of what you do. And so I said, I like to just really, start my day being intentional. And in fact, talking about starting the day, what I really like to do just personally is to get my day started, I'll do my praise and worship, I'll pray, I'll journal. And in my journal, I actually will put in that journal under my directives, Lord, please show me who it is that I can say a kind word to or who I can encourage on the day. And so being intentional like that, he will show me.
Yes.
And so there is someone that will come into my presence that I'll be able to encourage. So that's really where the Etiquette Lady came from. And it just stuck.
It just stuck.
Yeah, it just stuck with me.
Yes. And you're represented, I might add. You're represented. Thank you so much. Like your organization, there are so many people who own organizations, as you well know. And sometimes, things happen in the organization and we don't always understand why things go south. How does knowing how to communicate properly impact your family, your employees, clients, associates? Why is that such a critical thing to know how to communicate?
Wow. Well, we communicate often and all the time, but what we're saying, is it really what the other person needs to hear? Mm-hmm. And are we really hearing what they're saying? So what's so important, first of all, is being able to identify, and I'll just start with the family, for example. Many times when I'm coaching, parents will say, listen, my daughter does not act like me. I don't know who she acts like. She doesn't act like my son. I don't know what her behavior issue is. And she said, I just don't understand. So my response is, that's okay, because she has her own behavioral or personality style. And so that's what's so important. Effective communication. If you can effectively communicate with someone according to their particular style, makes all the difference in the world. It really does. So in other words, if your daughter is very shy, then you may not want to really raise your voice in speaking with her, because more than likely she's not going to receive that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she's being disrespectful, but it's how you receive communicating. And so communicating is so important. Even, let's say, if you're in your workplace, and we all have people who we work with, right? And you think, oh, here comes this person again. I don't want to have anything to say to them. I hope they don't say anything to me. Okay, so what you're doing at that point is you're being intentional, right? Because you don't want to receive, right, whatever it is they may have to say to you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just, I cannot stress how important effective communicating it really is.
Yes, yes, yeah. So what is it? Why are you so passionate in spreading the word of etiquette and kindness? It's one thing to communicate, that you have to have certain kind of etiquette as well. What is that? Is there a difference between communication and etiquette, or is it the same, one and the same thing?
Really, it's one and the same. For example, you may hear the term, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. Mm-hmm. And so you can reprimand someone in a respectful way and being nice and kind in doing that. So you want to make sure that you're using etiquette. And I'm really passionate about etiquette, is because, you know what? Politeness and kindness is free.
Free. That's right.
It's really free. And it's just a matter of when you're polite, people have the tendency they want to be around you a little more often than not.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And of course, we know the opposite of that is being rude. And how many rude people do we encounter on a daily basis? And some people may not even realize they're being rude. They may be stern, but just a soft word, okay, turns away wrath, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so just being nice and kind to that person. And in fact, you know, even what I like to do too is when I encounter someone who's rather rude, I like to respond to them in a nice, pleasant way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it actually, you know, it will make them have a second thought sometimes about, oh, okay, so she's still going to be nice, because sometimes, you know, people like to what we call jerk your chain, right?
Yeah.
You know, if they're upset, they want to just kind of whoever's around them, they want to make them upset, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And just, you know, being determined to not allow that to happen is what's so important. And then, of course, I know you mentioned kindness.
Yes.
Wow. Kindness, when you think of kindness, it's just being, you know, really nice to someone. That's why they kind of interlock. It's being very, very kind. For example, initiating, I always ask people to make sure you initiate an act of kindness. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be something very large, mm-hmm. because just a word of kindness to someone can actually change the entire trajectory of their day.
Yes.
And you have someone that may not be feeling well, and you say something kind to them that will lift their spirits.
That's right.
And I actually, excuse me, I grabbed some water. And I'll use myself as an example. I remember, and this happened probably about a month ago.
Yes.
I was in a lot of pain, and I went into a store. I said, I just want to go get some bananas. I need some potassium. So I went into this store. As I was going in, it's like my eye, as I was walking past the cash register, the cashier, and I'll never forget, it was the checkout number 3, right? For some reason, I just kind of looked at that number, and I went and bought my bananas. And just like I said, I wasn't feeling really well and at all. And so when I went to check out, the lady cashier said to me, she said, wow, how are you? I noticed you when you came in. She said, you were just really, as you walked in, it's like you glided in and you were confident. And she said, I just happened to notice. And I looked at her and I said, thank you so much. Because when you don't feel well,
yeah,
you don't feel as though you are perceived well as well, right?
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, I said, you know what? I said, the Lord directed me to see that number because that's where I was supposed to check out, right? Mm-hmm. Because she had a word of kindness for me. Mm-hmm. And with a person that I'm always trying to encourage, mm-hmm. and to say something kind to someone.
Yeah.
And just sharing that story, meaning that when you do that, God will actually put people in your path to do that same thing for you at the exact time that you need it.
That's right.
And I was just so grateful for that. But, and kindness is contagious. It really is.
Yes.
If you're kind to one person, that's going to cause that person to be kind to someone else. And then it just, it continues, right?
That's right. That's right. Now, I want to ask you this. Sometimes when we see that, I'm just take for example that if you walk in the streets of Nigeria, for instance, right, and you see these individuals, they're talking to themselves. Everybody just assume, they're crazy. Mm-hmm. You're talking to yourself. Then something is wrong with you. But I understand that you feel that talking to yourself is a good thing.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah.
Communicating with yourself, and you talk about that. Talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. Self-talk is very important. And just like you said, a lot of times, we hear people say, "Oh, she's talking to herself over there. She must be crazy. You better steer clear of her."
Yeah.
Self-talk is very important. Okay, positive self-talk, if you will. Okay, with affirmations, and I'm a real big believer on speaking scripture over myself and speaking affirmations over myself as well, and positive. Okay, because we can hear negative comments about us all day long, right?
Yes.
But we have to, build ourselves up.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what I do and why I'm so passionate about this is because first I will say, okay, I'm speaking scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay. I am special. I am unique. I have my own special gifts and talent. There's no one else in the world like me. God created me just to be me. And I have affirmations just all over the place and scriptures just all over the place in my home. But we have to talk to ourselves. Generally, we're going to believe more of what we say than what other people say. But what's so important is we have to make sure we are saying positive things. Now, even thinking, oh, I'm really nervous. I'm not going to pass that test. Okay, that is an affirmation. That's a negative affirmation. Mm-hmm. And so we want to turn that around and say, I know that I will do well on that exam. So we want to make sure, yes, by all means, talk to yourself, build yourself up, encourage yourself. Because
I'm so glad you said that, because one of the things I always tell people, before you leave that door, before you open that door, think about what you want people to say to you about you. Think about what you want that day to be like. Yes. Because we can, and here's a question for you. We can self-talk, right? Tell ourselves, we've got this, we've got all the affirmations and what have you. I'm going out there, this is my world, everybody else is chipmunks trying to get nuts. I am the queen of the world, blah, blah. And then you get out there and somebody just has to say one little thing and the balloon deflates, So how do you keep yourself from deflating after you've talked yourself up to walk into this world and then somebody just reels you back? Talk about that.
Absolutely. That's why you want to continuously affirm yourself. You want to continuously have this playing in your mind of affirming yourself. I can do it. I am strong. I am beautiful. I am a blessing to others. So you just have to keep doing it. In the morning, it's fine to build yourself up, but all throughout the day. Also, what's a great idea as well, and I will do this, I'll have an index card and I'll write an affirmation or a scripture on the index card and I'll keep it in my bag. And I'll go and pull that out just for some reinforcement, because yes, you're absolutely right. Someone can come around and say, oh, who do you think you are? What did you do this for, or something? But it's them and it's not you. So that's what I want people to understand. Yes. That you don't want to receive negativity. And I have a saying where I say, I am immune to negativity. I just am immune to it. Yes. And the reason why, and it took me a while, I haven't been like this all my life. In fact, talking about people deflating, I was bullied and I was teased as a child. And this was all the way through high school. So I had very, very low self-esteem. And I was teased. I don't know if you remember Popeye, which was a cartoon, Popeye and the Sailor Man. Well, of course, his girlfriend was Olive Oil. And so she was extremely skinny, which I was as well. And they would call me Olive Oil. They would say, if you go over there and stand by that pole, you'll disappear. And those kinds of things. And just really, really ugly things. And whoever came up with sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt. That is not, I just don't believe that's accurate.
Because it hurts, doesn't it?
Yes, words
do
hurt. Until you get built up, and until I was built up in Christ and being able to affirm scriptures and affirmations. And that didn't happen for me when I'm thinking during the time I'm in school. And that's why I'm so passionate about working with children and teaching them to build up their self-esteem and confidence. But because I know I missed out on opportunities because I was just so shy. And I never even told my mom about any of the bullying or anything at all, because I didn't want her worrying about me. So I just kind of dealt with it. But it is absolutely, it's horrible. Words can hurt you, but words can also heal you. So I'm glad I'm on the other side of that.
So, okay. All right. Now you started a podcast. And this podcast is entitled, What is Etiquette Anyway? Why did you start it? Why did you feel there was a need to start a podcast addressing etiquette?
Sure. What happened was I would be invited to call into different talk shows and just kind of talk about etiquette. And I was really wanting to, and this was kind of every now and then, right? Depending on what topic they were discussing. And I would call in and they would say, well, what's your opinion on this? And I would give it. But you know what? I wanted to be able to just kind of add value to the listeners more often, just more frequently. And I got tired of asking, well, maybe we can do something. I can come back maybe once a month or something and that kind of thing. So I got tired of trying to ask people. So the Lord was like, start your own. And so that's what I did. And etiquette encompasses every single area of our life. And so we have a variety of topics that we talk about because, etiquette is just everything.
Yeah,
it really is. And
I had the opportunity to be on your show. That was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm certainly enjoying being here with you and talking with you. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I love you and those babies.
Oh, yes, they are my heart. Absolutely.
You have been to numerous schools. I will tell you this. I use, because I speak Igbo. I'm Igbo. And I used to go to an academy here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I would speak Igbo. I would teach the kids how to speak Igbo. And their little faces just light up. When they hear something different. And then when they pick up some of the Igbo words and they're communicating, it is such a joy to know that you're communicating properly, not just in English, but in something else, in another language. So it's so much fun dealing with children because their minds are so open and they're so eager to learn. And that's what I'm seeing when I went to your website. My God, you've been to, 43 schools? and you're talking to these children and they're learning all these things. And some of them, if anybody would go to your website, and I'll share that again, they'll see these kids reciting words that perhaps you had them write it down and recite it, and you wanted to check, show them how to properly present themselves. I thought that was so fascinating. Talk about those children. Talk about them.
You know what? Children, they're like sponges, right? And so whatever you expose them to, they will actually learn. And so the main reason that I'm so passionate about children is because oftentimes public speaking or just communicating with each other, oftentimes they're not real comfortable with that, or they may have a fear. Oftentimes they may have a fear of public speaking. And that is a fear that is developed. And so I felt that if we could expose them to that while they're still young, then they would not have to grow up like I did, being afraid to speak up or to speak out, and they would not shrink back. And that's what is happening. According to a lot of the testimonials of some of the parents, they're like, wow, first of all, I've never heard of a program, for children this young, but I'm just so passionate about that because it develops their self-esteem, and it enhances, one of the things that enhances their self-esteem, so that they're comfortable and confident in whatever setting they may be in. And so they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
I noticed also that you, after a while, I suppose after they've learned certain things, you take them out into the public. Is that what I saw you in several times? You took them in a limousine.
Yes.
To go, where were they going? What were you doing with it?
Generally, it was our end of the year program. And what we do is they have an opportunity to dress up and go out and practice their fine dining skills. So, we've gone to Druid Hills Golf Club. We've gone to just several different, usually it's a meal because they definitely want to eat, right? And they'll have an opportunity to practice their fine dining skills. And quite often we would go to the Sundial at the top of the Peachtree Plaza, and they would absolutely love that. And so just kind of exposing them to various events, maybe a play that they can go out to, but just giving them an opportunity to practice their wonderful, polished manners.
Now, I want to talk to you about something that you probably are, I don't know anybody who's not familiar with this: poor customer service. Okay. I've had situations where I've actually walked out of a restaurant because of the poor customer service. Why is it important to organizations that they teach their employees how to communicate properly with their clients? Talk about that.
Customer service can make or break your establishment. It's as simple as that. It is just so amazing to me how when you can go into certain establishments and you're not greeted, and it's time for them to wait on you, it's like you're a problem because you're here. But you want to be just the opposite. You want to be warm and inviting. Hello, may I help you? How are you today? I hope you're doing well. What can I get for you? What can I do for you? That just a warm greeting is just wonderful. But oftentimes than not, we don't see that. And what I always suggest to people is when you are greeted with great customer service, to certainly go ahead and let that establishment know, complete the survey, let them know, because oftentimes if it's poor customer service, we'll complain. But when we receive good customer service, we really don't say anything. So it's as important when you do receive good customer service, to let them know, because that will allow them to be able to continue. But as I said, it can make or break your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And of course, now with the shortage
mm-hmm.
of employees that are working in customer service,
mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, some of them may be overly worked or tired, but don't ever be too tired to at least say hello and be pleasant. And again, that's where the kindness comes in. And if you don't like people, and this might be a newsflash, if you don't like people genuinely, you might not want to work in public.
That's right.
You just don't.
You don't, yeah. And sometimes you also, like, if you have an establishment and you are dealing with this community in general, as a whole, it's imperative that you understand there's no place for any racism, And I'll share this little experience with you. When I was the executive director for the Urban Residential Services,
mm-hmm.
I went to a restaurant. This was in Michigan. I went to a restaurant with my secretary, and she's white, and I'm her boss, and I'm Black. When we went to this really nice restaurant, the waitress bypassed me completely and went to her to ask, to place her order and ask her, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't talk to me, but it was talking to her to speak for me. When I said, excuse me, I can give you my own order, she rolled her eyes like, what? That sort of thing. So my secretary said, excuse me, this is my boss. And I recommend that you do not talk to her like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked for the manager, and, I didn't walk out, because the manager had nothing to do with that. So while she was there, I called the manager. I said, I need you to talk to this employee. It's imperative that she doesn't bring her personal, prejudices to your establishment, because this is one way to lose customers.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, he was very apologetic, but I think it's so critical that communications, you can have your own personal, whatever you want to have outside of society.
Yes.
You've got to know how to communicate with your world, because whether you like it or not, whether you're prejudiced or not, whether you're smart or not, whatever your issues are, you still have to relate to your world. And how you do that is through communications. Am I right?
You are absolutely correct. It is so important. And here again, she may not have actually said anything to you and felt she was not communicating with you, but she actually was, because communication is verbal and nonverbal. Mm-hmm. And when you said that she rolled her eyes, that was a form of communication, like, I don't want to deal with you, or I don't want to be bothered with you, and bypassed you to look, and unfortunately, this happens quite a bit. I mean, we just had a situation with one of the organizations, I think it was Sesame Place.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, racism is prevalent. It's very prevalent. But as you just said, that if you have a problem with it, then, well, first of all, you really should not be working in the industry where you're going to have to interact with people other than yourselves.
That's right.
Okay. And if you do, wish to work, then you might want to put on your happy acting hat, so that you're not speaking with people or giving them signals that you don't like them, mm-hmm. you don't want to wait on them. And because, again, that's not a good look. And again, poor customer service will definitely it will just wreck your establishment.
Yes.
And it only takes one person to do that. It only takes one person.
And the thing about it, when you talk about customer service, and I don't want to do it forever on that, but it's very important. Mm-hmm. If you go online, people can actually talk about your organization and the kind of poor service,
Yeah.
because sometimes before I go anywhere, I want to read what people are saying about this organization before I go visiting, that sort of thing. If they say that the food is awful or the customer service is awful, key there, customer service, I'm not going,
Yeah.
no matter how beautiful the place is. So that is extremely important. Now, I want to ask you something I consider quite exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's exciting to me because you're going to address it, okay? And that is this whole misconception that when a person speaks properly, they're trying to be Caucasian.
Mm.
Have you ever heard that? Why are you trying to talk white, when you're Black? I mean, I don't get it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts, I can start with my personal thoughts, because I've heard that pretty much all my life when I was even smaller. Why are you trying to talk white? Why do you talk white? Why do you talk like that? And so my first thought is, okay, so can you please give me a definition of talking white? Can you do that for me? Are you referring to using proper, pronunciation of your words? What do you mean? Well, you just sound white. Really? Okay. So are you saying every white person has, proper diction? And I mean, just explain this to me. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
Is talking white. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Every white person that I know does not necessarily talk white, quote unquote, as generally what that term, means. So I don't, yeah, it's a pet peeve.
Yeah. You hear a lot about of that, but we all need, all of us, Black, white, purple, or green, we all need to learn how to communicate properly.
Right.
There's no standard way. Now, unless, of course, you're in Britain, where you have the proper English and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But,
right.
All of us need to know how to communicate. Because, like I said earlier, you have to interact with your world. It's not all about you.
Exactly.
So you have to know how, you have to know how to speak to elders. That's another thing.
That's right.
When young people speak to elders in a way that's derogatory, oh, the person is old, the terminology, in African terminology, we don't say somebody's old. We say it's onyichie. That means an elder. Because you have to respect the miles, the life the person has lived. That, it's a blessing. You may not get there. You know what I'm saying? You may die as a youth, in your youth. So it's important to know how to address elders with dignity and respect. Disrespect of an elder doesn't make you a better person or a stronger person. It just means you don't know anything.
That's right.
You need to learn. So how do you teach young people to respect their elders? And I know the media certainly portrays everything good is young, but they don't see the wisdom in engine. The name of this program is Ndumodu, words of wisdom. Where do those wisdom come from? People who have been there, done that. You can learn from, and we all, what are your thoughts?
Yes. Very important. Again, going back to the children. Yes, teach them to be respectful. And I always teach the kids, make sure that you address an adult by their last name. With Mr. or Miss, you just do that, okay? Make sure that you do. That's just called being respectful. Now, I do want to say this. Oftentimes, I'll have a child that will say to me, oh no, my mom said, don't call me Miss Myers because it makes her feel old. Well, I mean, she's old enough to have you, so she's old. Older. Okay, she's older, she's mature. So I also, talk to the parents and say, make sure when a child is respecting you, don't teach them to go against the grain and disrespect you. Now, if it's okay for them to call you, Carol, then have the child just automatically say maybe Miss Carol. Okay, because it's just making sure that they're showing respect.
Yeah.
And that is just a very, very important character to have.
Yeah, I had a situation where I went to the bank,
Mm-hmm.
and so this young gentleman opened the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And well, I was anticipating that he would open the door and then hold it for me to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Just closed the door in my face and walked away. Well, let me tell you something. I'm from Nigeria. We don't play that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't treat an elder like that. So I made sure that he understood that. I said, that's not the proper way to act, one, in public, and to treat an elder. I'm definitely your elder, it's obvious. I've got a son older than you and daughter older than you. So I'm an elder. You have to know how to relate to your elders, that sort of thing. So I agree with you with the need for etiquette building. It's so critical. And one of the things that we have, and I always have to go to Nigeria because I'm Nigerian. One of the things that Nigerian youth, now, of course, we've got the influx of foreign influences, but that like in Yoruba land, for instance, the child bows to the elder, and then in Igbo land, you put your hand, particularly if you're a chief. I'm a chief. A young person will come to me and they bow, so for me to pat them on the shoulder. There's so much respect for elders, but I am afraid that some of that is going away with the influence of all these, TikTok and Facebook. And I mean, people are just learning to do things that's contradictory to pure etiquette and what have you. Yeah. But I want to ask you this question. I am so excited not only to know you, but to know that you're also a member of our organization, the African Women Mobilization Commission. And you are one of the women empowerment speakers. You're on our team. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And you do workshops. Talk to us about the workshops that you conduct.
Yes, one of the workshops is interacting, communicating, nonverbal versus verbal, active listening. And I do want to talk about that for a second with communication skills. Active versus inactive listening. Oftentimes when you may be having a conversation with someone, you're waiting on them to say their last word so you can speak. Mm-hmm. That's inactive listening.
Yes.
Because you're just waiting on your turn.
Yes.
And so to actually listen and hear what they're saying is what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the topics we're going to talk about, as well as just general communication skills in itself. Now, I remember, I don't think I mentioned about when I was training to be a certified DISC instructor.
Yeah.
That it was just a light that came off with what this training and this certification would help me to do, and to help with entrepreneurs, with business owners, with families. That's to communicate, because each person has a different behavioral style. Did I mention that?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
You did.
Yeah. So just to kind of reinforce that is that being more interested in that other person, and that's where the etiquette comes in as well. You're really interested in what this other person is doing, how they're reacting and how they're acting. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that we will also be talking about. And of course, public speaking as well. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
Okay. People say, I've heard it often, and you probably can add a little bit more to this. Mm-hmm. People say, tell the person what you want them to know. Mm-hmm. Tell them what you're going to tell them, then go back and tell them what you told them. Yes. What is the reason for that?
Yes. Well, to make sure that they were actually actively listening and that they understood exactly what it is that you said. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes I will also call it the mirror back approach.
Okay.
And so they can also mirror back, what did you hear me say? And that will also let you know if this person was listening or not. But that's exactly why they do that. They'll reiterate what they actually told you to see if you actually heard that and were really listening.
paying attention, because a lot of times people are, you said it earlier, people just, they're waiting for their turn. Okay, speak what you have to say, but I've got something to say, and you end up in that relationship or that discussion at the moment. When it's done, you don't even remember what you guys talked about, or somebody may ask you, oh, you met with so and so and so. What was the meeting about? What did you talk about? Well, you know what you said.
Right.
You didn't know what the person said, because you're hoping that they heard you.
Right.
You didn't hear them.
It's like, what did I say? Yes.
Okay. I just want to say one more thing. As a professor, I teach MBA courses, business administration and management. And one of the things that I say to my students is, just remember one thing: when you're in an organization and you're leading the organization, it's not about you. It's not about you. Because when you make it about you in that organization, the rest of them will not care. So you must communicate to members of your organization, your staff, whomsoever, even the guy who cleans your office, that they matter.
That's right.
No matter how smart you are, no matter how good you think you are, make them feel, and I always refer back to my dad. But he's joined the ancestors. He's no longer with us, but spiritually he is. My dad never knew anybody who was not the greatest of the 21st century. Everybody was the greatest man or greatest woman. Even the sweeper, the street sweeper, if he met him, he said, so everybody loved to meet him because he always communicated that it's not about him, it's about you. And I think that's one aspect of communication that's very important. You may be very smart. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And that's part also, not feeling that you are, if you're the president of a corporation, it doesn't mean that you cannot speak with the person who is cleaning your office. I can recall years ago when I worked for an organization, and the CEO of this organization, she basically would say, oh no, I don't speak to them first. If they want to speak, they need to speak to me first. And so I remember I wrote an article about that, about whose job is it to speak first. It's the person that you see.
Yeah.
So you just, hello, how are you today? It doesn't matter. And that is so important. And that's just common
courtesy. Kindness you talked about.
It's kindness, absolutely. Kindness. And, with kindness, one of my favorite proverbs is, never tire of loyalty and kindness. Hold these virtues tightly, write them deep within your heart. And so that just says, just make sure that you don't get tired of being kind to people, okay? Because it's so important. And that's really that's how I end my radio broadcast usually each week. And that's Proverbs 3:3. So in other words, just continue to be kind. You cannot be too kind or overly kind, and be grateful, right? And thankful.
Yes.
And it's just so
important. Here's my favorite poem. I shall pass. Now I didn't write it. It's anonymous. I don't know who wrote it, but you probably know this poem. I shall pass this world but once. Any good thing that I can do, or any good word that I can say, let me do it now. Let me say it now, for I shall not pass this way again.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
It speaks a lot about how we must conduct ourselves, Now that doesn't mean that you kill over when people are rude and insulting. At some point you have to say, hey, hold back off.
Right.
You got to, but in a scenario where people, you don't know the person, and you just don't start by being rude and crude or ignore. And you never, have you ever watched the show, Under what boss?
Undercover Boss?
Yeah. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, yes.
Isn't that awesome? I love it.
Wonderful show. Yes.
It's a wonderful show because it has to do a lot with etiquette. and also communication,
Yes.
So you don't know this is the boss.
Right.
And rudely, there's so many episodes where, and these are real life, these are not fabricated, these are not sitcoms, these are real. Yeah. Where you find these people, they are so rude to the boss, but they don't know it's the boss until they find out. Then it's oh my God. Well, you could have done that initially,
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, yes, you said there were real people. Absolutely. So this is not a reality show. So many reality shows on, but I think it's so wonderful. And he actually sees how these people are conducting themselves genuinely, in his organization. And I think it's so wonderful how when he sees some of it's several different, for those, that may not have ever seen it. It's a boss that goes undercover in his own organization, and he goes around just basically to see how his employees are acting and interacting with others.
Yes.
And he really, it's just a great show, because I look at so many of them that are blessed by him, and they didn't even know that he was the boss. So you get to see them in their genuine state. It's so important.
Yeah. I want to share some comments with you that people have made, and perhaps you can address some of them, but some of them I'm going to read. If it's like a question for you, I'll share that with you. Ikenna Obaka, who I know, hello, darling, I know her very well. Her little one was learning Igbo with me, and she was just the smartest little thing. Her granddaughter, I believe it was. She says, we thank Mama Melva for connecting us. They connected you with them.
Yeah.
So, and then she also says that you came to their school.
Wonderful.
Okay. You went to their school and you taught communications. And let's see, Kindness Never Hurts by Brooke Berlin Baxter. Then Ioness Papa, I think it is, says, I agree. It only takes a second to make someone's entire day. Absolutely. Yeah. And Brooke Berlin Baxter says, anyone else need to hear this morning? I did. Self-talk. It can be hard sometimes when those around you try to insult you every chance they get. Example, a parent or a child for that matter, point out your flaws. You take in that toxic, not even realizing it. Then you talk to yourself that way, not even knowing you do. Listen to the words of those around you. You may need to change the company you keep. That's it. Do you want to say anything about that comment that she made?
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do want to surround yourself with positive people, with people that can pour into you and not take from you or try to deflate, like you said, try to deflate your balloon.
Yes.
Because when you're around people, you like, those spirits, they transfer. If you're around negative people all the time and you're hearing negativity, then more than likely you're going to start speaking that without even knowing. But absolutely, Brooke, surround yourself with people who will build you up and encourage you. And you may have to, the others, you may have to just kind of interact with them, how they say, with a long-handled spoon, if you will, so from afar. Because you want to continue to keep your spirit in a good place. And
then she also wanted to know, Donna, do you have a YouTube to do a demonstration on how to teach kids these days how to use proper etiquette in dining?
Yes, I actually have. I have videos, actually. Yes.
Are those on your website?
They, at this time, they are not.
Okay.
And then I also teach virtually as well. And that's one of the classes is proper dining skills.
Okay. We're going to Nigeria.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that. So 2023.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Abuja. We're going to have a women's empowerment conference, and we are going to have representatives from all the different states in Nigeria, because we have our state directors, and they're going to bring their women. Oh, it's going to be a powerful show. And anybody who wants to grow, if you want to go to Africa, that will be a good time to go. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have presenters from African Women Mobilization Commission, and of which Donna Paige is going to be one of them. And we're going to go and share some words of wisdom, some Ndumodu with women in Nigeria. I just want to read one more, and that is from Lanice Papa. I hope I'm saying it properly. Customer service should be simple. It states everything in those two little words. That's right, customer service.
Oh,
service to the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Because it's customer service, not customer no service.
That's right.
And there's a workshop that I teach, customer service versus customer no service.
No service.
So,
well,
excellent.
Donna, it has been an honor to have you on the show. As I've indicated, if people will go to pages, I think it's, yes, it is. Okay, it's scrolling there. Pages.
Etiquette.com.
Etiquette.com.
Yes.
If you go there, you're able to see everything that Donna is doing. Please visit her. I mean, I learned a lot just going to her webpage, pagesetiquette.com, and learn a little bit more about this wonderful woman, because, you know, we need people out there who are making wonderful things happen for us. And Donna is doing just that. Donna, do you have a parting word?
Well, I did want to say that the book that was shown, the What is Etiquette Anyway book, that one is no longer available because a new one is coming in its place.
Okay.
So, yes. The My Forever Affirmations book and journal, and the Kindness journal also. And I just want to start a revolution of kindness and asking people to please make sure you initiate at least one act of kindness per day, and just be intentional to do that. And I actually created the journal so you can actually list in, you know, what kindness deeds did you do today and who was kind to you? So just a kindness revolution with everything going on. Let's just be nice to each other.
Oh my God, yes. You know, there's just so much mess going on.
Yeah.
And we could never go wrong. I just want to let all of you know, please continue to watch us on the Ndumodu Show. This is my email if you want to get in touch with me, the Ndumodu Show @gmail.com. And you can also visit us at African Women Mobilization, African Women Commission.net. I have another website, and that is drosimiri.com. Please, please, please visit Donna. You will know so much more about her. Pagesetiquette.com. You don't want to miss out knowing more about this wonderful person. Thank you, Donna.
And thank you,
everyone who joined us today. What a pleasure! What a pleasure! What a pleasure! I wish we could spend a little bit more time, but I want to remind all of you that Ndumodu means words of wisdom. All of you have Ndumodu. All of you have words of wisdom. So until next time, take a moment to share yours with someone who can use it. Blessings to all of you. And as we say in Igbo Nigerian language, Yagazie, may all go well for all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Donna. You have been a pleasure to have here today. I've learned a lot. And so I'm going to learn to be just a little bit more pleasant in my relationship with my world. Thank you so very much.
And thank you again for extending the invitation. I so appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And you did a marvelous job. Okay, I have just one more comment that somebody, I know time is almost gone, but somebody had a comment that they wanted to share. This is Priscilla Ross. Donna, thank you for the invite. This conversation is so enjoyable. Yes. Thank you, Priscilla. And Brooke says, thank you, Donna Paige Riley. Yes, of course. And I didn't say that it's next year, September. We're going to Nigeria. Next year, September, the 14th through the 21st. We're going to put all that out next time. Okay. Thank you all. And may God bless all of you. And thank you for joining us today. And good day.